There are definitely a lot of people out there that are torn between the Mavic 3 Classic and the Air 3, and there are some unique differences between these two drones. There are a few similarities, but overall this video is aimed at people trying to make the decision between the Air 3 and the Mavic 3 Classic. My name is Dan Davis, and I'm the creative director here at DansTube.TV, as well as the Fearless Drone Academy, which is the ultimate online drone course for beginners. If you are feeling a little bit nervous about flying your drone, maybe you're new in the drone space or you've had a crash recently, then definitely sign up to the Fearless Drone Academy newsletter. You will get a free gift, which is the pre-flight checklist, and that will help you really plan out each flight and make sure that you don't have any issues moving forward. So check that out, that will also be linked below. So first things first, if we look at price, the Mavic 3 Classic is definitely the more expensive option here. So it's 2,399 Australian dollars, and that's for the drone and the RC N1 controller. So you get the one battery, the drone, the controller, and the few other accessories. Now, if we look at the Air 3, that will set you back 1,699 Australian dollars, and that will be for the drone, the RC N2, which is the newer controller, and the battery and the accessories and whatnot. So on paper, the Air 3 is the cheaper option here, and it's also offering a dual camera system. So that means that you've got two cameras. They are both 1/1.3-inch CMOS sensors, both capable of capturing 4K up to 60 frames per second, as well as 4K 100 frames per second if you go into the slow-mo option, and you get full HD up to 200 frames per second as well. So some really cool slow motion options, and I've found that the two cameras work really well together. There's no major difference where you're losing features or losing different modes. They can both use all the modes on the drone, and they both do a great job. The Mavic 3 Classic does have the larger sensor though. It's a 4/3-inch CMOS sensor, so it's like a micro four thirds system, larger than the 1-inch system that we saw on the Air 2S, larger than the 1/1.3-inch system that we saw on the Mini 3 Pro, and also the two cameras on the Air 3. So it is the largest camera system that I've actually reviewed for a drone on the channel, and it is a beautiful camera system. It's a HASSELBLAD system, 4/3-inch CMOS, and I've tested it on the Mavic 3, the Mavic 3 Classic, and the Mavic 3 Pro, because they all have the same system, and it is a great camera system. You're going to be really happy with it, but then you're missing out on what you're getting with the Air 3, which is the two focal lengths, and you're getting that different perspective when you're using the zoom lens or the 3x medium telephoto. The Air 3 does have a 24mm wide, which is an f1.7, and the 70mm medium telephoto system, which is the f2.8. So looking at the Mavic 3 Classic, it is capable of capturing 5.1K up to 50 frames per second, and you can also capture 4K up to 120 frames per second. So some really nice options there. The Mavic 3 Classic also has adjustable aperture, which is another big standout point over the Air 3. So adjustable aperture from f2.8 to f11, and that's on the 24mm wide, which is the HASSELBLAD system. So you've got some more options there if you're looking for the adjustable aperture, and you also get 5.1K, which you do not get on the Air 3, and you're also getting 4K up to 120 frames per second, so slightly improved with the slow motion option as well. Talking about the different zooming options that are available to you, the Mavic 3 Classic can still utilize digital zoom, so you can go up to 3 times with the digital zoom. It does lose some of its quality at that point, but still an option, and it's good to know that it does also have the digital zooming option. Now the Air 3 really stands out here because you're getting the two camera systems, and you're actually getting the option to go from 1 to 3 times if we're just talking about the focal length. So the 3 times is the medium telephoto system, but you can actually go up to 9 times with the digital zoom. So that gives you even more options. Again, I find that the quality drops a lot. You know, it's a lot more pixelated, the sharpness of the image is not there, but it gives you the option to scout out an area, which is what I would typically use it for, and then you would kind of pull it back to the 3 times medium tele, and that does an amazing job at that point then. So the Air 3 does have a bunch of different 10-bit options, and you can capture different color profiles. So you've got normal, HLG, and D-Log-N. Now, when we look at the Mavic 3 Classic, it does have 12-bit RAW options, and it's got 12.8 stops of dynamic range. You're also getting normal HLG, you're getting D-Log as well as D-Log-N. So you're getting a few options there that are unique to the Mavic 3 Classic. You probably have noticed so far that they are two distinctly different drones. The Mavic 3 Classic on paper so far far has got a little bit of a leg up because it's got that larger camera system, it's got the 5.1K, and it's got a few other options there. But the Air 3 has definitely not lost this race. I think it's actually a perfect drone for a lot of people. Not many people need 5.1K. You know, you really don't need that extra option. But I would say that having that additional focal point, having that 70mm, that 3x zoom, does make a big difference. The perspective looks very unique, and you can't capture anything like that on the Mavic 3 Classic. So I actually think that the Air 3 has the slight edge when it comes to, I guess, versatility, you know, of the options that you have available to you. And also, I'm just thinking about the average consumer. Most people don't really care about those extra options unless you are like a professional drone pilot, someone who's out there doing real estate, doing like mining operations or different things where, you know, like even inspections, you know, you might need that higher quality camera system for the clarity. You know, you might need the extra options that the Mavic 3 Classic does have, but it's hard to say, you know, it depends on your needs. If you are interested in the Air 3 or the Mavic 3 Classic or any other drone really for that matter, I do have some exclusive bundles over on the D1 Store's website. This is a partnership between DansTube.TV, the Fearless Drone Academy, and the D1 Store. But if you are interested in any other offering, you can use the code DANSTUBE on their website to save some extra money on select items. And the other option is reaching out to them directly through email, sales@d1store.com.au. Just mention DansTube and they will help you out with the best deal possible. These bundles are exclusive to people living in Australia. If you are based internationally, maybe you're not in Australia, then I will have some exclusive links below as well to help you out. So check those out, they'll all be linked below. When we talk about max video bitrate, this is another area where the Mavic 3 Classic stands out just a little bit more. You're getting more max video bitrate here, so you're getting up to 200 megabits per second as opposed to 150 megabits per second on the Air 3. So the slight edge there, but again, the average person probably isn't going to notice it. I would say that the Air 3 is like that perfect mid-tier drone, and I would say the Mavic 3 Classic is bordering on a prosumer drone. The Mavic 3 range is definitely their pro offering, but the Air 3 kind of borders on a pro drone as well. So definitely, again, personal preference, but both phenomenal drones. Talking about photo quality now, they both do a great job of capturing sharp images and raw images at that. So you get a lot of options to play around when you've actually captured these images. But on the Air 3, it can capture 48 megapixel stills as well as 12 megapixel stills. The Mavic 3 Classic can capture 20 megapixel stills. So on paper, it looks like the Air 3 has got the win here, but you've got to keep in mind that the Mavic 3 Classic does have a larger sensor, and overall the images aren't majorly different. I would say that, you know, they're very similar, they're still really high quality, and if anything, the Mavic 3 Classic might slightly have the edge just because of that larger sensor. They both have a phenomenal flight time and they match each other on this spec here. They both have 46 minutes of flight time. So if you are upgrading from a previous drone, this is going to be extremely exciting for you. If you're used to that 25-minute range, 46 minutes is going to get you very excited. So they both have 46 minutes, both very capable in the air. They do a great job, awesome flight performance, and I wouldn't say that one stands out over the other. They're just both really solid in the air. An interesting thing that hasn't been mentioned too much is that the Air 3 actually has a faster ascent and descent speed. So it can actually go at 10 meters per second for ascent and descent. When we look at the Mavic 3 Classic, its ascent speed is 8 meters per second and its descent speed is 6 meters per second. So if that's something to keep in mind, if you have a lot of birds around you that seem to go for the drone, having a faster ascent and descent speed is probably going to make quite a big difference because you can get away from them a lot quicker. It's also just one of those things for personal preference. If you're finding that in different scenarios you need that extra speed, then the Air 3 has the edge here. When we talk about weight here, the Mavic 3 Classic is definitely the heavier option. It's 895 grams. The Air 3 is still a respectable 720 grams. I find that to be a really good point. Like, it doesn't weigh too much, but it still, you know, holds a bit of weight because weight does make a difference at times in terms of just its durability, how stable it can be in the air as well at times. And, you know, they both do a great job with that, but the Air 3 is the lighter option. They both do offer omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. It's the first time a DJI Air series has seen omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. They both do a phenomenal job at avoiding obstacles in the environment. They both have APAS 5.0 and ACTIVETRACK 5.0. So that actually means that you can track objects or track people and boats and cars with different directions. So you can choose the direction that the drone tracks that thing from. So that's a big option, a big offering. And when it bypasses in its obstacle avoidance mode, it does a great job of avoiding lots of little branches beaches and all sorts of things in the environment. So both very impressive offerings here. They both have omnidirectional optical avoidance, and yeah, no issues with either of them. When it comes to range from these two drones, the Air 3 actually has a leg up here. You're getting OCUSYNC 4. It's the first time we've seen OCUSYNC 4. That gives you 1080p, 60 frames per second of a live video feed to your device, to your phone or to the controller. But you're also getting 20 kilometers of range, which is unheard of. Now the Mavic 3 Classic does have OCUSYNC 3 Plus, definitely not a bad offering here. You are getting the 1080p 60 frames per second, the live video feed to your controller or to your phone, which is great, but you're getting 15 kilometers of range as opposed to that 20 kilometers with OCUSYNC 4. So like I mentioned, they both have APAS and ACTIVETRACK 5.0. They both have that directional tracking. They also have the same focus track offering, so you get Spotlight 2.0 and Point of Interest 3.0. So focus track is basically Spotlight, Point of Interest, and Active Track. Focus Track's kind of like the overarching name for those tracking modes. They've all got the same modes. Both drones have the same modes here. So nothing like more advanced on the Mavic 3 Classic. They both offer the same features. Some more shared features here would be the Waypoints mode, which we saw on the Mavic 3 series. Absolutely love Waypoints. I've got some content on the channel if you want to check that out. So Waypoints is on the Air 3, which is very exciting. It's not a dumbed down offering. You're not getting less of a Waypoints mode. It's still the same awesome Waypoints mode. You're also getting cruise control, which is very handy. It allows you to lock out the movements that the drone's flying out and just set it into cruise control. You don't have to worry about human error. It's just going to keep that same momentum and movement for you. The other option you have is night mode. This does limit some of the resolutions that you are capable of using, but still a great offering if you want to capture some more low light options. That is available on both, as well as MasterShots. MasterShots is available on both, and all the intelligent flight modes are the same here. So you're not getting something new or extra on the Mavic 3 Classic. Both of them, the Air 3 and the Mavic 3 Classic, have all the same intelligent flight modes, and all those modes I mentioned are shared on both drones. Another exclusive offering to the Air 3 besides the dual camera system is the vertical video mode. So this is something that is very usable for a lot of people. It actually means that it will natively film vertical videos through the drone. So you don't have to edit it into that 9:6 aspect ratio if you want to upload to Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts. It literally just captures the vertical video straight from the drone. You can only go up to 2.7K at 60 frames per second, which is still very usable for social media. And you can also go 1080p or full HD up to 60 frames per second as well. But that's exclusive to the Air 3, and you're not getting that on the Mavic 3 Classic. So where does that leave us? We've got two phenomenal drones. We've got the newly released Air 3 and the relatively newly released Mavic 3 Classic, both phenomenal drones. You're gonna be happy with whatever one you get, I promise you, because they are feature rich. You're getting a lot of different options in there. But for that price point, I think for the majority of people, I'm gonna have to say the Air 3 is the better offer here. Even though you're not getting that larger camera system, you're not getting 5.1K, you're missing out on a few other of those like pro offerings there. But I mean, you're still getting 4K up to 100 frames per second. You're getting a dual camera system, so you can really play around with those different focal lengths. And that's something I've been having so much fun with. You know, using that 3x medium telesystem has been way too much fun. And that on its own is a standout because you're probably used to having just the wide angle drone shots. If you've owned any other drone in the past, you're probably used to that. And that's fine and all, like there's no major issue with that wide angle, but there's so much content out there with drones now, and that wide perspective is just common. You know, it's nothing really too exciting anymore. A lot of people have seen it. So having a completely different perspective when you got that 70mm medium telephoto system, it does give a different feel, a different look to your videos. And that on its own, I would say, is the big calling card. But then you're also saving so much more money here, getting a drone that's just as capable as the Mavic 3 Classic, has all of those pro features that I mentioned. And I think it is the standout here. I think the only time you would go for the Mavic 3 Classic is if you have the extra money to spend and you just want to, or if you want to take drones even more professionally. You know, you really care about that larger sensor and the 5.1K. In that scenario, you know, sure, go for the Mavic 3 Classic. But I think the majority of people are going to be very happy with the Air 3, especially because you're saving a fair bit of money here. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate all of your amazing support. Definitely check out those links below for the bundles and the exclusive options through the D1 store, and I will chat to you in the next video. Peace.